Hello and welcome to the Absolute Game of Nerds with your non-geek, non-nerd hosts JP and Rohan. And in today's episode number 19, we think, or the next episode, we have Joseph from the Wolverine Comic Shop, and I'm gonna let Rohan give him a proper introduction.
So today we have Joseph from Wolverine's Comic Shop, just another awesome member from the community. I met Joseph a long time ago. I bought a Fantastic Four 112 was my first purchase from him. I've since bought a Superman 233. Just through those purchases, he and I started talking and gotten to know each other. Just a great member of the community. Joseph, say hello here.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that. Great introduction, JP, both of you guys. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. So Joseph, we always kind of start with your comic origin story. So maybe go back to when you were a kid. You know, you got the Wolverine's Comic Shop. We're going to assume that there's X-Men and Wolverine related in this childhood. Like, tell us all about it.
Yeah. I love telling this story. This is a good story. So I originally received a comic book on my ninth birthday. Okay. It was my ninth birthday, and I received my very first comic book. And that comic book was Marvel Graphics novel number 5 from 1982, first print, X-Men God Love Man Kills. I got it as a birthday present from my uncle. And basically from there, that started the journey. You know, he had told me, he'd given it to me in a frame, and he said, you got a choice. You can either collect it, take it out, or read it, right? So I did take it out. I read it, put it back in its frame, and it sat there on the wall. And that basically started my journey from when I was 9 years old into where we are today.
I think you recently posted that book on your Instagram, I think, right?
So the story goes on his 50th birthday, I took the original copy and I sent it off to CGC. I got it signature seried for him, Chris Claremont, and I gave it back to him. Oh, nice. I was really, really, really heartbroken. Okay. So I went out on the hunt. It took me about 2-3 months to be able to come across what I thought was a 9.8, right? At the time, I'm thinking this is a 9.4, 9.6. We'll take it, press it, clean it up, send it back off, and I'll get my own copy now to add to the personal collection. And sure enough, I sent it off. We got it cleaned. We got it pressed, and it came back a 9.8.
Nice.
So yeah, it's phenomenal book. Really rare in such a high grade, and I'm lucky enough to have it.
Right on.
So which book is it again? It's the Marvel.
It's Marvel graphic novels, number 5, first print from 1982. And it's X-Men, God Loves, Man Kills. It's a big boy book, big size. Where is it? Yeah, it's right here. It's big.
Yeah, JP, when he posted this, I've never seen these graphic novels either. And so I was like, oh, this is super cool.
Yeah, the only one I knew of graphic novel-wise was the New Mutants book. That was...
Oh, yeah, I did know about that one. Yeah.
That was the only one, but I didn't know about that one, so...
So one of my first journeys in kind of collecting something, I love, square bound books, and I love graphic novels, trade paperbacks. So I do own 1, 3, 4, and 5. We don't have 2 because it's just like a shitty book. Nobody wants that one. So we got the Death of Captain Marvel, then you got Dreadstar, then you got the New Mutants, and then you got this X-Men right here.
So let me ask you, just curious about this book. Does it follow continuity with the comic books? Is this kind of its own solo story? Is it an Elseworld, as they may call some of these things these days, or what do we consider this?
So God Loves, Man Kills. It is its own solo story, but it's its own solo story in the realm of the X-Men world. It is the first appearance of William Stryker. It's very unknown. I actually just put out recently on my YouTube channel a Did You Know? And this book is part of that. So it is the first appearance of William Stryker.
Hey, and I've said it on this podcast before. X-Men number 2, X-Men United, X2, whatever you want to call it, is still, to this day, and I've watched it recently, one of the best superhero, Marvel, whatever you want to call it, movies there is. I love that movie.
I agree. It is a good movie. It's a good one.
And that has obviously William Stryker is the main villain in that movie, hence why I brought it up.
That's the one where what's the Lady Deathstrike or something is in that one?
Yeah, that's like his assistant, and it's like he's got to William Stryker hates mutants and he wants to get rid of mutants, but his son is actually.
Okay. I'm thinking Wolverine Origins where Deadpool's in that one. So yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about now. Yeah, that one was a cool one. First both Spider-Man and both X-Men that came out back then were good, and Silver Surfer. So
good movie. So Joseph, kind of getting back to your origin story. So started at 9. Was there a break? I know I can't remember, you're like 40, 41, you're our age, right?
Yes, I am.
So has it just been nonstop, or was there a break, or if there was, what got you back in, or has it just been nonstop kind of train all the way through?
Yeah. So I would say around there was small breaks, but it always kind of continued, right? So there would be like months at a time. This is obviously in the 2000s, where I didn't have money. So still young, growing up, having a job, paying bills, and so every now and then I'd find myself, in the local comic shop or something like that, but not consistently. So it's been really, I think. So back in 2016, 2017 is when I really kind of started taking it more seriously, just kind of adding to the collection and just seeing what we had. And that is when the journey of my first CGC signature series actually happened. So there was small little breaks. It wasn't just straight through where we just consistently, purchased comic books for the collection. There were breaks in between.
Nice. And so JP, I don't know if you know, but like Joseph, one of the weeks was one of the CGC. They have those like spotlight series where they highlight someone and like have an awesome collection and they like show it off. Like Joseph it was like 2 months ago that was you, right?
It was about 2 months ago. We had I was part of the CGC Spotlight, so hashtag CGC Spotlight, and man, that took 3 hours of taking out like the majority of the collection and just kind of showcasing it. But my collection, it's made up, I would say, predominantly right now it's like 40% slabs and 60% roll books. So there's so much that I still haven't showcased and pulled out yet.
Do you keep it all at the house there?
No, a lot of the CGC stuff stays in a vault. It stays outside of the house, but the roll books do stay, in here. I got to keep flipping through and send them off to CGC. I don't have time to be kind of going back and forth. So once I do my unboxings and, once we take some pictures, we wrap them up and just go store them.
Yeah. Okay. So coming back, let's see. So you obviously were a big X-Men fan. Who else did you kind of grow up on? What else did you like? Was it just X-Men or?
Yeah. For the most part, it was just X-Men, a lot of Wolverine. I mean, it's just kind of fed into, what I was doing. Superman, I still have way too many long boxes of 90s JP knows of 90s Superman stuff. And so Wolverine and Superman are definitely hands down my two favorite characters. Always been a fan of, DC Comics, as a whole. But that would be the gist of it. Decent amount of like Spider-Man, Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Fantastic Four, the bread and butter of the Marvel guys.
Got it.
Yeah, it was funny. The 90s were full of X something and Superman. It felt like, for that short time period from 92 until, I don't know, I got about 95. So unfortunately Superman never really, there's no good books from about 250 until 700 if you look at Key Collector. Now that's Key Collector again. There's probably a couple in that 500 books that was of significance, but they don't give them all that credit anymore.
Yeah, there's definitely not much value.
Yeah, they don't give credit. I don't. It's crazy how that such a character that the legacy of that character, and it's really been of no meaning for a good period of time. The last big time was that Death of Superman.
What I find very interesting is, especially today, I think Superman. So Superman obviously was the first superhero, right? And so he had huge popularity through the Golden Age and beyond. But nowadays, I would honestly say that, Batman, Spider-Man, and even Wolverine, I probably would say probably have a bigger fan base in 2023 than Superman does. With that being said, I still find it amazing. So like if you think about the top 4 comic books of all time, right? You think Action Comics 1, Tech 27, Superman 1, and Batman 1. Action Comics 1, like, and we just had a heritage sale of these books. So this is the data I'm using. So in 2022, Action Comics 1, there was a 6.0, is it 6.0 or 6.5, that rocket copy with the red rocket stamp on it. It sold 3 times in 2022, and each time was over $3 million. So Heritage just had this auction and had a 6.0 Tech 27. So I was like, oh, this is going to be 2 million plus easy. And it went 1.75 million, right? Similarly, Superman 1 obviously set the record last year with the $5.3 million sale at an 8.0, and they just had an 8.0 Batman 1 sale, and it went for $1.1 million. So I've always found amazed that even though where their popularity is now, when it comes back to history, the Superman book is still the premier book that sells. Like, I always find that quite interesting.
You're absolutely right. But, to JP's point, even those, those books like the Man of Steel #1 from like I think it's 1986. Like, I think you can go online right now and get that 9.8 for like $99, $100.
Yeah.
To me, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Or what is it? I think it's the one that came out in 1989, first appearance of it's eluding me right now, but that book too.
You get thing?
Yes, you get that book for like $89, and it's like,
it's fair. I mean, I feel like once you get out of the golden age for Superman, it's literally like 233, which I got from you because it's got that awesome Neil Adams cover.
Yeah, it is.
That book is still fairly expensive, we'll say, not crazy, but like relatively speaking. But outside of that, it's like nothing. Yeah, like it's all
the Superman Flash races. Those always go.
Yeah. But I mean, even those are still, you can have those for under $100. I feel like
that's one of my favorite books, by the way. I love that book. I own that book. So the first time that Flash and Superman race each other.
$199. Yeah. That's a great cover too. And I also think Carmine Infantino is a very underrated. Like when people talk about great artists, like no one really talks about him. I love his Batman and Superman covers.
I just think they got the name of most Carmine Falcone from the other Italian that was drawing Batman back in the day. So it was quite an interesting name. I go, is that really his name? What was it again?
Carmine Infantino.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of them weren't. Well, I didn't know who Neil Adams was in the 90s. I cared only for McFarlane, Liefeld, and Jim Lee. Adding a couple, Wilts Portacio, Ron Lim. Jim Starlin kind of drew like Ron Lim, so you kind of hard to tell the difference sometimes depending on who was drawing. But I didn't know who Neil Adams was. I didn't know who the guys who drew Superman back in the 30s were, and Kirby. I still to this day don't like much of Kirby stuff, but I know he's legendary.
JP,
so
boo this man.
I just can't.
We're gonna lose listeners just for these comments here, JP.
Probably. Hey, I'm all right with that. Collect what you like.
In other comic book news,
I can't. I just say I do have a fair amount or some Kirby books, but again, like it, there was a lot of underappreciated artists even in the 90s going back 20 years prior, and the guys in the 90s, so
yeah,
in my opinion. So tell me, so Wolverine, so this is, we're going to get into the comic shop.
Well, Wolverine. Real quick, actually, since we're talking about comic books in his collection, Joseph, why don't you real quick? You got 2 new beauties. You just got it. Why don't you just show them off real quick to the
So audience? I mean, absolute game of nerds, right? It's all about grails.
Yeah,
right?
it's about grails, baby.
Grails. So today we had an unboxing on YouTube, and I am going to show off some of the grails that we were able to pick up fairly recently. First one is a giant size X-Men. Come on, you guys all know what this is. I don't have to explain it, right? This particular one is
I've never seen that book before.
No, I haven't seen this one before.
Turn around, right? JP. Turn around.
Someone behind me.
So we got a 3.0. What is it? It's off-white pages signed by Stan Lee and Lane Wayne. As you guys know, Signature Series is my bread and butter. And so we had to add this one to the collection. Shout out to Finest City Comics for hooking it up.
All right.
So you bought
there's more.
Yeah, what's up? You bought the no, stupid question. Yep.
Yeah. Had to pick this one up. Had my eyes on it for quite some time. As a matter of fact, they actually had it listed, and I was watching it, and then one day it just disappeared, and I was like, oh man, I lost my chance. And like 2 to 3 weeks went by. Maybe it was like a tactical strategy thing. It relisted up. I was like, oh shit, this is it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I gotta get it.
if I don't do it right now, so
they created FOMO in you.
oh, I was fully FOMO'd out. So we got in touch with them. We talked to them. We made some
That's
deals,
awesome.
and we were able to come away with really 2 awesome books to add to the.
Did you get the Surfer 1 from them too?
Yeah, both of them.
Nice.
Both of them. It was a package deal. I
Yeah.
knew. For full transparency, I was gonna try and squeeze in the Avengers #1. He had an Avengers #1. It was a 3.5, also signed by Stan Lee. But prices was getting a little up there. Little up there.
So since you just mentioned it, so you said signature series is your bread and butter. Talk to us about that, because I've expressed some opinions. Like I've grown up, I love signatures because I love sports and getting sports books, but I just have had some difficulty in finding the value in signatures. And so I kind of don't go after them as much anymore. So tell us about your love for the signatures and kind of.
Yeah. So it goes back to 1993. Okay. So in 1993, I'm originally from Long Island, New York. Okay. And in Long Island, New York, there was a mall. It's called Smith Haven Mall. Okay. And the place of the comic book shop was called Planet Comics. And every couple months, they would have artists come in. Joe Rubenstein, Louise Simonson, the clan, the team, right? And so I remember going into the mall one day and realizing that they had these things. And at this point, I am 9, 10, 11, I'm like 13, 14 years old, okay? And so I just got their schedule, and I just started going in to see Joe Rubenstein, Louise Simonson, just all these great Shinot. I mean, a lot of great, and I would bring my books to them. Okay, the books that I had in my personal collection, and I would get them all signed. All right, and they're still here with me today. And so I think that is kind of what started the evolution of me wanting signatures. So fast forward to 2017, and I just recently unboxed it on my YouTube channel because I sent it off to CCS Pressing. The first ever book I ever physically purchased was an Avengers annual #10. It was signed 4 times: Chris Claremont, Michael Golden, Jim Shooter,
Al
the guys. Yeah, Al Milgrom. And that was my first book ever purchased. And so that coupled with the fact of fast forwarding to 2021, I realized, oh shit, I can send these books in myself and get them signed. Now I'm going to start doing that. And, originally when it started, I was like, these are just my books, and I just personally want them signed. And then it turned into, and the reason why I do it more and more often and why I purchase books signature series is the rarity, right? The rarity. And what does that mean exactly, right? We all know, some of us do, some of us don't. There are over 6,500 copies of this book on CGC Census. I checked it about 2-3 days ago, about 6,000 copies, all right? Of the 6,000 copies, there are only 858 signed, okay? Now, what does that mean? That just means personally for myself, and I'm not an influencer. People call me influencers. I don't do any of that. You buy what you like. You buy what you love. All right. The point is that I personally would like to have one of 858 rather than one of 6,300, 6,500. Now, if we break that down a little bit at 858, whatever the number is, right? How many more, if we just I factored in, like, okay, let's say 75% of the 858 are signed by Stan Lee, right? Puts us around like 600. Okay. Again, I would much rather have one of 600 than one of 6,000. And it, to me personally, doesn't matter if it's an 8.0, a 3.0, a 9.6, obviously higher grade, the better, ROI, but rarity with me on this book is on my side. That's how I kind of look at it.
So do you look at it, though, at each grade level? So at a 4 or 5, there might be 100 at that signed by Stan Lee, and you have 2 signatures on that book, right? Len Wein on that book. So does that matter? So if you get a higher grade, you probably have less and less people that signed it, so that makes it even more rare, or is it just the overall signatures?
It's a great question. So you got to look at it in two different facets, right? One, I'm on the books 858, right? I'm one of those. Then what you look at it, you look at a 3.0. Okay, how many above and below are that 3.0? Which then now kind of puts me into a bracket of where I can be in terms of the actual rarity of the physical book. So I don't necessarily look at it like that too much. It's just the fact that I'm locked in, here we are. But I believe, don't quote me on this one, I believe there are, of the 800 plus signed, 457 are higher than a 3.0. So we got, so that basically puts me at half.
Right, yeah.
Even at a 3.0. So that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. Yeah. Like, for instance, this one, I think the census 4,000, 3,000, 4,000, but there's only 457 signed. Like, God rest the man's soul. They're not making any more Stan Lee Silver Surfer signed books, in CGC, unless it gets sent off to CBCS, which is perfectly fine.
And I will say with those two books, like, and this is not trying to like dig at Stan Lee, but like, you definitely got them signed at a time when Stan Lee still had a nice looking signature. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to dig on the man, like, he gave us everything here, but like in his
we're gonna lose listeners now if you do this.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, we've seen the signatures when he got a little older and they're not as smooth and clean looking.
Well, someone had to use his hand, right? And sign for him, yeah. So does that count? Is that even lesser amount on the census if it was a Stan Lee sign with his handler holding his hand to get
Look,
more for that?
I will say, like, if I show you this is the Stan Lee signature that we all know and love. That's it. I'm going to be honest with you. And it almost made me not buy the book. I'm not 100% sure what kind of Stan Lee signature that is. Okay. He might have been wonky. The book might have slipped. He might have maybe had a few cocktails. I don't know, but it's there. It's real. We'll take it. But yes, I hear what you're saying. As it got later, some of those Stan Lee signatures are questionable, to say the least.
So in your time when you went to the shop that they had all these great art, did Stan Lee ever come when you were a kid?
No. This is just this was in a mall. Back in the 90s. I think one of the last years that I got one of the books signed was 1997. It was 1997. Joe Rubinstein. I got the first appearance of the Superman, the Electric Superman, and Rubinstein signed off on it in 1997. It was the last one that I got because I think the shop closed after that.
That's funny. That book became hot recently. I don't know if it still is hot, but there's two versions of it. And I didn't know that they even had a version of Superman that was electric. And then I saw it on the Key Collector and found it in a long box. So $1 box.
So there is, I believe it's a German variant white cover. It's really awesome. I don't own it. I'm not going to buy it, but it is really awesome. It's a really great looking book.
Yeah. All right. So now, since we're on the topic of grails, Joseph, what would be like your top 5, or few grails that you would like to? I'm going to assume X-Men 1's probably up there. Like, what else will we talk about here?
Well, definitely, I think you and we've spoken about this a few times. I am on the hunt for Avengers #1 right now. The Avengers #1 is at the top of my list. It is going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
And that book is like, you can get that for great prices, Sam, sometimes.
I was watching, I forget, it was one of your episodes, and one of the gentlemen was just basically like, this it's just so undervalued. And I believe that it is just such an undervalued key grail book, beautiful book, an awesome book to add to the collection. So it'll happen. It's just a matter of time.
The cool thing about that book is I was not a fan of it back in the 90s because I was not an Avengers fan. But now after the movie, I have more of a connection to them for many different reasons. But that cover has the robotic Tony Stark, the gold robot, the old suit. So I think that's cool to have that on the Avengers on the front cover there, So that's definitely a good book. Do you want to get it signed? Do you need a Stan Lee signature one or just any?
Preference would be, we're on the side of statistics here, right? So I would love an Avengers #1 sign, because then just like the rarity of it, just being one of, and I don't know what the census is. Let's just say it's under 1,500. It'd be one of 1,500 versus one of 8,000. So we'll see what we can do.
You never know. I saw one come up on Elite for I think $2,200, maybe a 1.5, or it was a low grade, but looked like it presented well and it was a pretty decent price. I thought.
Yeah, you could definitely get some like lower grade but nice looking copies for like hovering around that 2K price, right? Even some I've seen just a little under, some a little over, which considering like the Silver Age Grail list is quite affordable, right? So yeah,
I actually had seen it. I saw it on Diamond Comic Club. Diamond Comic Club had it in a PGX 4.5. 3,800, and I was looking to get it, but they ran like an auction sale that weekend. That thing was gone in a heartbeat.
I'll tell you though, PGX scares me because like you hear these horror stories where it's like they slab books and don't tell you that they were restored, and then you get it and and you see that they read it, and like I've just seen that story too many times, so I'm scared of buying a PGX book.
So he told me, and he did actually post it. He said money back guaranteed if you send it off to CGC and it comes back restored. Yeah, so good. I was like, because I'm definitely sending the PGX off. So I kept thinking, all right, if it's a 4.5 PGX, I'm thinking at best 3.0, 3.5 CGC. If I'm having a really lucky day, it comes back the same grade. That's it.
Yeah. No, if he gives you back the money back guarantee, then it's a slam dunk. Yeah, I'd be with you. I'd have no issue with that.
So I would say that one. What else do we got on that list? Yeah, I really want the Brave and Bold. Is it the Brave and Bold? Is it number 28?
Oh, 28. First Justice League.
Justice League. That's up there, and a Ghost Rider. I don't really have like a top 5. Those are just the 3 books that have been kind of on my mind and that I'm looking to kind of.
You and I, we've also obviously talked about Hulk 181, obviously. And
Hulk 181. I mean, it's always.
Yeah.
Hulk 181 is always going to be there. It's the book that has eluded me my entire life, and I'm a Wolverine collector. Go figure.
Really? Yeah. Yeah, I finally, bit the dust or whatever and just bought it. So. Because I wanted it, but same as you, I've wanted it since the 90s and it eluded me then. And yeah. So yeah, that's always on the list. Yeah. We did a whole thing about hunting for it, right? And within a couple months, we both got it. So the hunt didn't last.
That's what it's about. I'll tell you on that book specifically, I don't think there's any chance I'm going to be able to get a signed one unless if I trade for it or something like that. Because that book signed is just it's out of the range right now. Certainly.
You know what's funny? I showed JP this copy because I saw it on Instagram. And they had it signed by like 6 different guys, and like one of them was also like a remark. But like it was so many signatures that you really couldn't even see the cover anymore. And I was like, why did you remember I said that to you, JP? I was like, why did someone do this to this book? Like, because that's my all-time favorite cover. And like it was literally just like drawn over, signed all, and I was like, this is too much. Like I could not take this.
Signature placement on a book is everything.
Yeah.
Well, that's talking to Manu. He's big on like, is it 9.9, correct?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's my dude. That's like that guy. He's a great guy, very passionate.
And I that's one thing that from our pod with him was just understanding the whole placement of the signature, the rarity of how many are there in that grade. Did he do it in color? Is it a full signature like T. McFarlane versus Todd McFarlane? I don't know if Stan Lee's, I don't think he shortens his because he's got a short enough name anyway, but other guys who maybe shorten their signature on some attempts. So just finding all that and really looking for that, adds to that rarity you're talking about. And where's it at? Like people get real picky. Even I've heard people look at graded books and say, oh, wait a minute. It's not folded right in here. Even though it's like a 9.0 or better, they're still like, oh, there's a little fold here. There's a little, I don't know what you call it, little tear on the top end. I guess the corners can sometimes pull up a little bit. I have a Punisher book that has a little bit of a I call it a booger just on the top of it. Whatever, it is what it is, but some people are hugely picky on that kind of stuff. So that can even add to your resale value too.
Yeah, no, I talked to someone this week because I posted, a collection of Bronze Age books that I have. And I was like, one of the few ones I'd want to eventually add to this is a Hulk 180. Now, I am not hunting for a Hulk 180 at the moment, but as one that, I wouldn't mind having down the line. And someone replied to me, he's like, hey, I have 4 Hulk 180s if you're interested. And they're all graded CGC 4.5. But the wrap is different on all of them. And so they're priced from $600 to $750. And so you could pick which one you want if you want any of them. But yeah, it was the same grade, but because of how they looked, the price was a little different on each of them.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It is.
I mean, interesting. Manu brings up a really good point, right? The whole full word Todd McFarlane. Like I've been trying to get Jim Shooter to sign Jim Shooter since I've been sending books off to him, right?
How's he signing?
He just signs Shooter. He just likes to sign Shooter, So that does bring up a good point. But at the end of the day, yeah, signature placement is everything. Because if you just got a signature right over somebody's face, I mean, you just destroy the whole entire book. I think we've all seen it because it's posted on Google. There's a 9.9 Wolverine #1 from 1982, the miniseries, and I think it's got something like 15 signatures on it, and it's an awesome book, but it's not appealing to me. Like, I can't see you ruin the art. Like,
it's just like that 181 I was telling you. Like, yeah, exactly.
That's the thing, though, is the rarity of certain items doesn't make it valuable, right? It's valuable to the person who wants to buy it. I have a Matrix 1 that they supposedly destroyed, these books, right? It's not in the highest grade, but you don't see them very often. But if I got it graded, I'm not going to get $10,000 for the book. I mean, I wanted it because I love that movie, but it just doesn't have the value, right now. But other things do. It's just funny how that is. Rarity doesn't always mean value, but, you collect what you like. So maybe, that's if you want something that you can say I'm one of one or one of 10, one of 600, that means more than, than most things. So.
Yeah, I mean, like it's rarity and demand. And you got to think like kind of going back to what you were saying about your GSX1, right? There's 800 signed. Those are just signage. That's not 800 signed Stanley. That could be signed by Chris Claremont. That could be signed by Len Wein. That could be signed by Dave Cockrum. That could be signed by Stan Lee. I bet of all those, I think anyone would. It's safe to assume that the most popular one and highest demand would be a Stan Lee signed one. So,
yep,
makes sense.
And I think, if you get 15 signatures, you can say it's so rare. It's one of one. There is a Amazing Spider-Man 316 signed by McFarlane, Stan Lee. I think there's a third signature on it, and it's
Michelini, probably.
Yeah, for $20,000. It's rare. It's probably one of one, but it's hard to. That's the neat thing about it, is because you never know down the road something may. Someone may want all 15 signatures on that Wolverine 1, and just find the right buyer. You just never know.
And you know what? That's what it is, right? Because whoever is deciding to list that book, right, it's their value. When I was watching the video on Manu, right, I think the guy, he said offered him $25,000. Right?
Yeah, on that Wizard.
It's a lot of money for a Wizard #1. Now, Todd McFarlane signed it. Stan Lee signed it. There are none other in the world.
And it's newsstand or something.
Yeah, no,
right.
No, I think it's just is it newsstand or is it the Comic-Con edition? I can't remember.
Oh, I thought it was newsstand.
It's everything all wrapped into one. Manu put a damn bow on it, all right? but,
I know.
But at the end of the day, to him, he probably might be thinking, if he lists that for $100,000, right? Let's just say for the sake of saying, we all might be like, oh my God, he's crazy. But to him, that's what that's worth. That's what, and there is somebody out there that is willing and wanting to pay for that. And if not, send the guy a best offer and call it a day.
Yeah. I think like the point he made, it's not that he necessarily thinks it's worth $100,000. It's just that's the amount of money it would take to separate him from that book, which that makes total sense to me, right? Like we're not saying the book is worth, but like it means so much to me that you have to compel me to let it go. And the price to compel can be way over the actual value of it. And that's your choice because it's your book and you don't have to get rid of it. But it's kind of like they have that website where it's like, it's something like you can list your house for sale at something crazy. And if someone gives it to you, you take it, right? It's like my house is worth, let's just say, theoretically, my house is worth $500,000 and you just list it on there, 1.5 million. You know, you're just like, that's an astronomical less. But if someone else is like, that is my dream house, I want that and only that, I'm going to give you that money for it. You're like, well, yeah, I'm going to take that, no doubt.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with collecting and selling. And you know, I've been thinking about this for the past couple of days with FOMO and, you know, buy what you like. Eventually it comes to a point that you have to sell the books or you die and your kids or your beneficiaries sell them. And just like the guy selling Superman, did his dad really want him to sell the books? I don't know. And I don't know if I want my kids to sell them, and how long do you hold on to them before you sell them? Like, you know, there's no value until you sell them. So you collect them because it's the hobby, but at some point, you know, you want to turn it into money, not retirement money, like we said, but just enough to, you know, get your investment back into it somehow. But what is that number to sell some of these books that have meant a lot to us over the past 25, 30 years? I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's the tried and true question, right? I mean, I don't think any of us at any point in time really ever necessarily thought in our process of collecting, I know I certainly didn't, that I would ever consider starting to sell off my collection. It was always something in the back of my head. I'm buying these books to one day resell them or, you know, sell the collection. But man, I didn't think it was going to happen this quick. I certainly didn't. Right? It's just something that kind of transposes. You fund the hobby with the hobby.
Right.
That's what it's all about. It's just one big circle, you know.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're all kind of funding each other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Funding each other's dreams.
It's funny too, because like you start collecting and like you're like, oh, I got this book and I'm never letting it go. And it's like, oh, but you could use that book and it could get you a bigger book. And then you're like, okay, I can't let this go because I want that more. Mm-hmm. And like that whole process always evolves.
Your tastes change, I think, somewhat. But if you see my wall behind me, you know, to this side, that's all McFarlane. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever sell them. You know, my kids probably would have to sell them.
Those are your books from your childhood too. So there's some nostalgia.
Right. But I mean, like if someone off, they're worth something, but I don't know if I'm willing to take that. Again, I could put an astronomical number, but you ever put something on eBay or go to sell something and you put a price you think is like no one's going to buy it, and then someone buys it and you're like, damn it, I really didn't want to sell that, but someone took my price that you're talking about. And like, every day I got to go back and get that. Yeah. Like we just did our top 5 grails, and I'd had my ASM 300, which was my number 1 grail in that video, and 2 days after that video, I had it up for sale for 2 months trying to sell it, that I was going to buy my 181 with the proceeds on that book with the intent to buy a lower grade one just because I want to always have an ASM 300. And my grade was a 9.2, and I would be fine with a 5, a 6, whatever. Well, it didn't sell, and I didn't worry about it. 2 days after that grail video, I get a call from Diamond. It sold. I'm like, really? Oh crap. And my hunt was for the next 2 weeks was to find a replacement. And
there it is right there.
And I have Manu's, and he sold me his 9.4, and I'm happy as they can be. But you know, I hadn't been looking for an ASM I bought it a year ago. I'm just keeping it. Nothing about it. And then I'm selling it, and I didn't think it'd sell, and then it's gone. I'm like, damn it. Now I got to find another one. I must have bought 6 of them trying to get it back. It's like, why did I sell it in the first place? You know? So I don't know if it's really easy for us to ever sell something you're attached to, you know, like the signature books you have, you know,
a case in point, like the X-Men God Loves Man Kills. As soon as I gave it away, I was like, oh my God.
That's right. I need it back.
They were right back to my uncle, right? I mean, for his 50th birthday, by the way, he cried. It was really touching.
That's awesome,
I was like,
though. It really is.
damn, I got to go get myself another one. This is ridiculous. Like, what did I just do?
I mean, that's a hell of a story in that book, though, that he gave it to you and then he gave it back to him graded.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I think that's really cool.
Real quick, what was the grade of the original copy?
8.5.
That's still pretty damn good, yeah.
but I did not get it. I did not get it clean and pressed. I wasn't necessarily in tune at that point in time about, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think could potentially maybe have some small grade bump appeal, but that thing will sit on his wall until for the rest of his life. So
in honor and because of what that book was, kind of like keeping it in its original state, maybe even make it worth more, right? Like if you clean and pressed it, maybe it takes away some of the memories of you as a child opening it up. I'm just speculating here.
Oh, my fingerprints are definitely all over it.
Yeah. Sure. So maybe that adds a little value to him personally. So
yeah.
I mean, I still have the first couple books I ever bought. My grandmother used to give me a couple $2 to run down to 7-Eleven, which is about a mile down the road from her house when I'd stay there. And I still have the ASM 269 and 270, the Fire Lord ones, and they're all beat up from me reading them. But when I did read comics, now I just look at the front covers. That's all that matters. But so the books behind you though, those are some, look like the Secret Wars one. Who signed that book? And why do you have those ones up behind you? Those recent or those? Why showcase those?
Honestly, the case was open. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna throw this one up here. It's a Secret Wars. I thought it was really cool, and if you guys wanted to talk about it, which we are, so this is Secret Wars #1, 9.4, white pager, and this one is signed by Shooter, Mike Zeck, and John Beatty. So I recently picked this one up only because I had a 9.2 newsstand that I sold off, and I was like, damn, I shouldn't have sold that. I really want it back. So I got it back. And
now, did you find it a deal that's why you bought that particular one, or were you searching for Shooter and Zeck on the cover? Was that a particular look?
Yeah, so the book that I had sold, it was a 9.2 newsstand, and it was signed by all three. So I knew I wanted to kind of get that book back kind of in just a better grade. Didn't have to necessarily be a newsstand, and it just popped up. It was just late night. It popped up. There it was. Phenomenal price. Best offer, and we were done, So actually, I just sent one off. It was a 9.6 CBCS. I found it on auction, tremendous price. Newsstand, the Galactus Era variant, whatever you want to call it. And I just sent that off for the Jim Shooter and John Beatty signature series signing.
And so you sent it off, so you knew it had the Galactus, because I have not seen a CGC name that on.
They're not going to. No, they're not going to. But they will finally nail it, put the newsstand on it, and I'll take that. I'm hoping that I can get a grade bump on that, get from a 9.6 to a 9.8, but we'll see what happens.
I was going to say, real quick, are you guys aware? So Mike Zeck would be the third guy involved on that book. That Mike Zeck he's now going on to year 2 of he's just like on a beach in Thailand.
Really?
Is that what's going on? Because I'm really disappointed that I can't get the full 3 guys.
Yeah, because I was looking for something that I was like potentially wanting to get Mike Zeck signed on. So on his website, you can sign up for his email list, and like you could even email him. Really? So I actually emailed him one time, and he responded back. He's like, yeah, I'm in Thailand right now. I'm just kind of chilling out, and like when I get back, I'll probably do a CGC signing. And I was like,
good for him.
I was like, good for you, bro. And then anyway, so then like I ended up being on his mail list, and then like it was probably like a month and a half, 2 months ago, an email came through from Mike Zeck, like to his email list. He was like, hey guys, going on year 2 here in Thailand. I'm still loving it. I don't know when I'm coming back. And I was like, I can't hate on this. Like, mad props to you, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. And you got McFarlane sleeping at CGC, signing hundreds and hundreds or thousands of books.
Thousands and thousands of books, man.
And Zeck's on the beach.
Yeah.
Which, Mike Zeck, again, underrated. That Punisher cover he did.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my all-time favorite covers. The Secret Wars cover is iconic.
You know what covers I love of his is the Kraven's Last Hunt storyline.
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Man, like those covers he did for those, I think are awesome.
Yeah,
I had just gotten in a Punisher #1, 1986, the mini series, with the intent that I was going to send that off and get John Beatty to sign it and eventually get Mike Zeck to sign it. But it ended up coming in. I ended up being able to flip it because I can't get Mike Zeck, so I'm like, I don't. Defeats the purpose. So yeah.
Now, you said that you're going to get a grade bump on the one book you sent it, 9.8. hoping for,
I'm
right?
hoping, yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, it's a CBCS. It went in 9.6. I didn't get it in time enough to get it sent off to an actual like real presser. So CCS pressing is
Yeah,
gonna have to do their best.
you have to cross those fingers.
So you don't do pressing yourself, correct?
I don't do pressing myself.
Okay.
I just don't have the time. If I had the time, I would definitely do it. I think it's a masterful craft. I mean, some of the guys out there, especially my guy Magic underscore pressing and Valor Comics, two great guys, great pressers. So, what about you? Do you press?
I thought about it. I just had I had a little problem over the week over at a show that I was going to get a book pressed, and I've never done it before. So I'm thinking about buying a press, and I was watching Bronze and Modern Gods, and they said which press to buy, which is a Tussie. So I was just thinking about maybe investing the money, and I got a long box full of crappy books that I could press all day long. Again, time is of the essence. So, but I'd like to try just to have it there. But that's the thing too, is, you send it in to get it pressed, and you use $10 plus plus the shipping, plus the CGC, and you got probably $50 on the book, $60 on top of it. You buy a press for $160, but you better make it worth your while, right? You better not just press one book. You better press a bunch. And so that's kind of the caveat to that in my eyes is, do you take that big investment, or am I going to get all my books? Do I want to get impressed? Do I want to ship them off to somebody? No, not really. Do I want to do it myself? No, not really.
Yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
I saw,
especially like,
I
go
saw
ahead.
that episode in which you guys were talking about pressing and your trepidation about wanting to send like your books, those are your books, your collectible books, expensive books, off to just some random guy that you don't know. And I remember the very first time that I sent my books off to a random guy, I was a nervous wreck, an
yep.
absolute nervous wreck. But at the end of the day, any book that you're going to get graded, you gotta have it, gotta have
Totally,
it pressed. And
totally
unfortunately,
agree.
with CCS pressing, especially these, there's nothing. CCS pressing is the only thing that I can do. This book is going to get sent in. We're going to be hoping for some grade bump, but it's just what it is, unfortunately.
Actually, on that note, Joseph, just so you know, and we could talk about this more offline. So I know a guy who is contractual agreements with CGC, and he can get it. His job, he just goes around to conventions and gets books signed for people. But unlike CCS, where no one knows anything about CCS, right? For all we know, they just like put it in a press for 14 minutes and then they pop it out. They're like, press $20, thank you. So this guy, it is more expensive. But I mean, it's worth it because he will post all the SIGs you want on it. He will press it himself, and he charges $75 for it. But he says, like, I'm going to work on your book. I'm going to do the best I can with it. And he's got a good reputation. He's well used. And then he'll submit it to CGC through your own account number. So you'll get charged to CGC for the grading. But at least you got someone good pressing it. So that is an option as well.
But the thing of it is at $75, you put in 2 books to him.
Yeah,
you
it's
could
not
buy
cheap.
a press.
Oh, it's not cheap.
Yeah. No, but JP, the difference with him is because he's CGC qualified, you don't lose the gold label, right? So because he's got signatures on it. So if he cracks it and presses it himself, you lose the gold label, right? And then that's what you don't want. So if you send to this guy Rich Hen, you don't lose that gold label, and someone is actually working on your book.
Yeah, so if you just send in any book to get graded, that's not worth it. But a signature book already, that's the way to go. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a price to pay for someone's their skills, their licenses, things of that nature. We all know that in our 9-to-5 jobs. So it's something that probably can be learned easily. It's not like being a mechanic and fixing on cars, but do you have the time and effort and do you want to put the money into pressing yourself and the time? I just saw Mint Hunter and another Future Past Comics. Both of them showed off their pressing stations, and that was pretty impressive to me. But it's not just buying the press for $160. You need cardstock, you need cleaning products. So it's probably a $300-$400 investment.
Yeah, and have you seen those guys? Some guys have like 4 or 5. They have like a whole wall, and like it's a whole thing. Yeah, like
Yeah,
definitely not. I mean, I honestly have no interest in trying to figure
I don't
it out.
either, but I just don't want to send my book to someone. I had a bad experience, and I had difficulty just even sending books to CGC, let alone to someone to press. And then none of them I found will send them to CGC, so they're going to send it back to me. So ship it there, ship it back. I have
Yeah,
no
I
one
mean,
local.
we could definitely recommend multiple guys that will send it through to CGC to avoid that part of it. But yeah,
That's for
I
sure.
mean, there's a reason. Like, I understand why there's a premium to buy a book graded, right? It's like you don't have to say bye bye to your book for a long period of time. Like, it stays with you. It comes as it is, right? And it's versus like turnaround time at CGC time. Pressers usually have a fairly long turnaround time, so it's like the time away is big. And so I understand why there's a premium on a graded book versus a raw book. Not to mention exactly what you have.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's tough.
yeah. Anyways, Joseph, we were talking about using the hobby to pay for the hobby. You are a seller as well. You have, hence the name, the Wolverines Comic Shop. Tell us about selling. Tell us how you started, when you started, where you sell, how you find books to sell, all that jazz.
Yeah. Okay. Man, I was actually trying to think about this today. I do stuff like this on purpose. Friday, February 5th, 2021, I had my first Instagram live claim sale. Just busted open the personal collection, just went through some long boxes, and that basically started the journey from there. That's when I officially sold my first book, February 5th, 2021.
Was that first claim sale a success, would you say?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that first claim sale was a success. I did so much marketing and so much promotion. And then, when I originally kind of came into the whole, Instagram community and the hobby, like there wasn't any intention to sell any books. I just wanted everyone to see my collection. I just wanted, people to see what I had. And when I started buying stuff, to just unbox things. And, it just started as like, okay, I own Wolverine's Comic Shop. This is just my thing. I just want to, show the personal collection. That's basically what it was. And it just snowballed into what you see and what we have here today. I think it was my very first Whatnot, because we did a bunch of IG sales. And they were successful. I had a lot of fun with it. The community is really great, back in 2021 when I first got going. And, I remember when I first got guys like Reggie and Rage, Nerdpool, Bravo Collects, like all these guys, like all reached out to me to just say, hey, how you doing? If you need any help. Like, I was like, oh shit. I'm like, and this was like when Rage had like 5,000. I was like, Rage just sent me a DM. I was like, what is going on? I was like, and so did Reggie. I'm like, that's so weird. And then we just kind of kept going. I think my first, by the way, I'm gonna put this out there for the record. I started Whatnot Wednesdays. Okay, my very first Whatnot sale was.
This is Al Gore creating the internet right here.
I'm telling
guys.
you right now, I started this shit. Okay, all due respect. Okay, all due respect to the Wednesday crew. It was a Whatnot Wizard Wednesday by Wolverine's Comic Shop. Bang.
Yeah,
And it was my first Whatnot sale, and I dipped into the entire Wizard collection. We took out so many Wizard halves and number 0 issues and number 1s, and it was just Wizard for like 2 hours.
Wait, do you still have Wizard books? Just real quick.
Yeah.
Do you have a Wizard? Is it 5 with Silver Surfer on the cover?
I don't. Okay. I have a Wizard number 3 with Wolverine on the front cover.
Yeah, I know that one.
In a 9.4 white pager. I would love to own 1 to 5. I would love to own 1 to 5.
Okay, yeah, I said that is what I want, is the Silver Surfer one. Anyways, continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, from Whatnot, we just kind of kept going. Then eBay happened. We just started getting on eBay, which is eBay's it's just its own world all in itself. But along with IG claim sales, and then going over to Whatnot, we did the auctions, buy it nows, then eBay, and then eventually we went over to Shortbox. Shout out to Shortbox. I think Shortbox, one of the best buying, selling apps out there today. All right. Then eventually we got over to Drip. That was really short stint. Drip is a good platform. It's up and coming. It's on the way up. It'll make its way, as it keeps evolving, as it keeps moving, and that's pretty much it. I mean, today it's really just all on eBay. It's all on Shortbox. I mean, anybody can reach out to me anytime. Any book that I have, showcase, whether it's I have it for sale or not, it's available, and that's where we're at. That's what we're doing today.
Okay, so I have a question for you then. So you have on Shortbox, you have on eBay. Do you have the same books listed? So do you ever get if you sell one on Shortbox, do you have to go back over or do you have separate books on Shortbox, separate books on eBay?
The vast majority, all the books that are posted on eBay are posted on Shortbox.
Okay, and where do you do the majority of your sales? Would you say Shortbox or eBay?
eBay. I would say 90% of all the sales are done on eBay. And that's mainly because of the international reach. I sell a lot of books internationally than I do domestically. Surprisingly. Yeah.
Now, tell me a little bit about the shipping and all that with eBay, right? So I've done a ton of stuff on eBay as of recent. But when you're doing it, let's start with domestic, then international. If you're selling one book raw, right? There's a cost there. You got the slab book sale and then international sales for that kind of stuff. So how do you sort of make sure, are you free shipping for these type of things to get them to sell, or are you adding on, and how do you at least cover that not on the shipping? Because it's hard to determine depending on the weight.
Shipping internationally is a complete nightmare. Let's just put that out there right now.
So 90% of your business is a complete nightmare.
But I don't touch international shipping at all. I use the eBay international shipping program. I recently sold a book into Turkey. What did I do? I just take the book, I send it to eBay in Kentucky. They wrap that shit up. They charge the customer. It gets sent off. That's it. Done.
Really? There you go.
Yeah, that's the way it works. It's a phenomenal program that they have set up. I'm really shocked and surprised that not everyone does it. You enter the program, you're in it, and any book, all 101 of my listings right now on eBay are all linked and set up for international shipping.
It's kind of, you think
you have to set it up that way. You have to set that up.
Okay,
it's not automatic, right?
I created a listing today. And at the end, after I put in, okay, 1099, it's a CGC, like 1099 domestic shipping, I pressed enter, which allowed it to get posted. I did nothing. JP, absolutely nothing. I didn't need to set up anything. That's it. It's done. So that when it comes in, right? So you buy the book, you're in Turkey. I'm literally, eBay sends me a label to send it to them in Kentucky. You're done. That's it.
Yeah. Go ahead, JP.
I was gonna say I sold probably, I don't know, close to over 40 books this year on eBay myself. So,
awesome.
But I don't know if, I don't think I've sold. No, none of them have been international. So I don't know if I have that set up or not. So that would help out with the crowd, because you're going to have way more people maybe wanting those books. So I want to check into that, because again, eBay has I think it's an easy place to get rid of books, to find your audience, because I have had no luck on Instagram selling. I don't like doing Facebook, but Rohan, he loves Facebook. He has a lot of luck with that stuff. I don't know. So I'm definitely interested in having some more options on eBay to get a bigger audience and population.
I also wonder too, with the international shipping thing, since eBay's got it down, right? They've got a system in place. I wonder if they can set up contracts with Shortbox or Elite or something like that.
I bet they'll buy them. eBay will probably buy these companies at some point.
Well, yeah, maybe eventually. But I'm just saying, right now, a lot of these people that sell, let's say on Instagram, Elite, for instance, I don't know if they do, but they may not ship internationally. I see a lot of things posted for sales US only, because people don't want to deal with the international.
They don't.
So I wonder if eBay can set up some kind of third party contract, where it's if you want to sell internationally, you can go through them. You don't have to sell it on eBay, but you can ship it through eBay, since they've already got the system down.
That's something. Yeah.
I mean, it makes a whole lot of sense for any business, right? Shortbox, whatnot. I mean, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe Shortbox might be in beta testing right now for international shipping, which if that happens, that would be tremendous, because at the end of the day, Shortbox is still a new app. The flexibility, JP, have you ever checked out Shortbox, dude?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the flexibility of me to I take a picture of the book, the front of it, I take a picture of the back of it, boom, it's instantly uploaded. I don't have to type anything in. I just put my
nice.
Oh yeah, it's so IT driven that you just snap a picture, so technology driven that boom, it gets instantly uploaded with the description. If it's a signature series, it'll say signed by Chris Claremont. It's pretty amazing, and it's instant. I don't mean like, I have to do it and wait 5-10 minutes. No, within 1 to 2 minutes, your book is posted, done.
See, I started with Whatnot, and then they asked a bunch of questions, or I had to fill out some form, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like that stuff stops me. Too many. I do enough paperwork during the day. I don't want to do more at the night. And my kid actually set up my eBay account, so it made it easy for me just to already be on there because he did it. So Shortbox was something I was looking into to try another avenue, because I'm always looking for, lower selling price, because eBay's fees are 13%.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And with consignment selling, talking about Diamond, using Diamond and Elite and those guys to sell, there is a cost there too. They're usually less than eBay, and the shipping, you're paying for it as the seller. Now, buyer, you're better off because you don't worry about shipping, you don't worry about taxes. That's the best deal, is to buy consignment. But I did run into an issue almost bought this Hulk 181 from a guy in Australia, and we had to do a currency conversion, and PayPal totally screwed us over on the conversion rate. And so it was a difference of like $300. So he didn't want to pay it, neither did I. So the deal fell apart. And so you need better options whenever you're not eBay, to get conversion rates, shipping rates, all that kind of stuff. Like, like you were just talking about, having eBay do the shipping because they have preferred rates. Somebody needs to get preferred currency swaps. You always get a better rate at the airport or the casino than you do, just going to the bank when you're out of the country.
Well, you bring up a good point, right? Everywhere you go is going to be different commissions, right? So let me just put this out there for everybody. Go buy my books on Shortbox. Yeah. They're much cheaper. Okay. Like if I could give you guys the same prices that I put on Shortbox, I wish I could put them on eBay, but like JP said, I mean, 13.25% commission.
There's a lot of people like that sell on eBay that like have YouTube channel, like, Ryan from Automatic Comics, for instance. He's always like, I have books on eBay, but you're welcome to reach out to me and we'll do it through like Instagram, and I'll sell to you cheaper because I avoid these fees.
Well, save you on shipping, save you on taxes all day long, and just the commission fees themselves. I'll give that back to you guys, for Christ's sake.
And think about what you just said earlier about Diamond, is he had the guarantee on that PGX book, right? eBay has the guarantee, right? But does everybody else, I'm sure Shortbox does too, but if you're buying directly on Instagram or Facebook, that guarantee is not really there.
Well, if you pay, that's why you can pay like PayPal guests and services, so you pay a little bit of a fee there, and they'll protect your purchase to an extent as well.
But the seller has to pay that. So if you're selling it, you have to be able to accept goods and services.
Yeah, so like I've had a lot of people say like PayPal, friends and family, but if you need to do guests and services, add 4%. If you need need that level of security, add 4% to the cost. And that's fine.
But that's part of the benefit of the consignment, Shortbox, eBay is the protection, right? And that's, even though you're paying 13% as a seller, I think you're going to be, Ryan talked about it when he sold a book and somebody complained or someone had a problem with what the book looked like when it got there. eBay refunded the guy the fee and he had no control over it. But, that's the other side of it. When you're the seller, I want to know, you're paying eBay 13%. If somebody has an issue with the book, they're going to get their money back. And if they never send you back the book, what do you do as a seller? Eat that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lucky not to have had any nightmare stories with eBay. I know that they're out there. I mean, to your point, you just mentioned it. I'm lucky that I haven't had any issues. So there could be a whole lot that goes on the back end, with eBay. That's for sure.
Yeah, I just actually had one of my daughter bought AirPods or something, and as soon as I bought it, because every other AirPod was from China, and I saw one that was not, and because I figured they're all replacement, or what do you call it, fakes, and I bought this one from Kentucky, and as soon as I bought it, I saw 0 seller rating, and I went,
Yeah.
they came in. They came in and they were fake, and I was like, "Shit!" So now I'm working with eBay, and I'll tell you by next week if I got the refund or not. So, as the buyer, you're definitely protected. As the seller, that's the other part of it on eBay. You're paying a pretty good fee. Hopefully you're not out the book and the money.
Yeah. Protection's got to go both ways for sure.
You did bring up though. You did bring up Facebook. So Facebook, I just actually created a Wolverines Comic Shop Facebook account. I think it was like 2-3 months ago. And I just got I'm in the group Comic Buy Sell Trade.
Yeah, I'm in that. That's where
I never see anybody I know on that. Rohan's on there daily.
I've done all my flipping and trading on that exact page,
and I've never seen him on there.
I haven't sold anything yet. I haven't traded anything, but man, there is so much going on in this group. It's like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's like Disney World, Disneyland, all wrapped into one for us comic book collectors, buyers, and sellers. So it's great what they're doing over there.
I've had no luck there, and Rohan's traded a bunch of stuff, but I've never seen his post.
Oh man, I've crushed it on there.
There just must be so many people on there that's why it's just not coming up.
JP, I feel the same way. All this guy does is brag about his trades and stuff like that, and I'm like, can I just get something? Just give me something.
I've told JP, if you want me to, we can try where I post some books for him and just be like, here's someone who bought it, ship it here.
I'm curious to try it to see if it's just maybe the region or something where where I'm at or whatnot, but again, I don't have any luck on Facebook. I don't trust it unless it's goods and services. IG, I've had a little bit of luck, couple here and there. So what's your success like with IG? Anything good on there, selling wise? Because you save the commission,
Instagram, no, I mean, from back when I first started, outside of selling to Rohan and just like a few people like here and there, I don't really push. I don't really push that many books. I think right now you might find 4 or 5 books, on my feed, on my page that are, listed for sale. I don't really bother with it too much. If somebody wants something, they'll DM me, or they'll go to like eBay or Shortbox. It's probably something I should get back into because it makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, it's just me and the buyer. There's no commission, there's no taxes, and usually I do free shipping anyway, but it just hasn't been something that I've been really too successful with from the beginning.
It's funny you say that. So real quick, JP, I've bought 2 books from Joseph, right? I told you the Fantastic Four 112 and the Superman 233. Neither of them were actually listed for sale. They just were like on this side. Like if he's doing a video right now, it would be like they were like one of the books behind him. And I literally messaged him, was like, hey, are you selling that Superman 233? What's the cost of that? I want that book. And he's like, both times he's like, it wasn't, but yeah, I'll sell it to you. No problem.
That was when you had just gotten started, right? You had just kind of gotten back into the IG.
The Fantastic Four 112, that was probably in the first 2-3 maybe books I've ever bought.
I remember that. Now I remember.
You were definitely one of the first guys I bought from, if not the first, honestly. And then the Superman 233 was maybe a month or so later when I'd actually built a decent little collection. And it was just on your video, and I was like, that's the book I'm looking for. And I reached out to you.
I remember now because I had just gotten it, and I told you I was like, I just got this, and I remember I said, you know what, I sold him the 112. I said he's back in the game. He really wants it. I said, yeah, let's just sell it to him. Let's go for it. I think I told you. I think I just sold it to you for what I bought it for.
Yeah, you actually.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, let's go.
You were even. Without even me asking, you were like, I'll sell it to you for X, and this is what I paid for it. And to prove it, here's the text messages that show me buying it. And it was literally.
I was like, here you go, dude.
Yeah, it was great. No, I definitely appreciate it. Hey, so I have 2 questions on selling. So first one, do you still do claim sales?
On IG? No.
Anywhere, on Whatnot or anything?
No.
Okay.
Is Whatnot considered a claim sale, or is it?
Yeah, they do claim sales on Whatnot. Yeah. Well, and
I thought they had auction style or something, don't they?
They do,
They
but
do both.
you have like buy it now. You can buy it now.
Yeah. Which what
I
was
need
gonna
to get
ask
back on Whatnot. I've been slacking.
we're gonna interview Rage here in a couple weeks, and this is a question I have for him. It's like there are so many claim sales every given night on IG, on YouTube, on Whatnot. I'm always wondering, like, are you guys ever worried about like doing a sale and like no one is there because there's so many other sales going on? Like that would really like worry me.
That's why I stopped on
Yeah.
Whatnot. So
Especially on the auction, right? When you have like 5 people and you're starting at $1 auction, you could get screwed over, right?
It was so I did two, and the very first one, that's exactly what happened, JP. You know, I was listing books, dollar auction, and they were going for a freaking $1, $2.
Yeah.
And the problem was I didn't mind that it sold for $1 if I got the $1. But the problem is that I'm like 21 cents, -5 cents, depending on where the book is being shipped and what's going on. So it's like I was selling books and I was like literally giving, I would have been better off having a giveaway, okay,
Right.
than actually being. And so even at, you know, sometimes $2, $3, $4, $5, the crowd just wasn't there, right? And so okay, I was like, I cut my losses. Let's do it one more time. And at that time, I had a decent following. I think things were really, that was when Whatnot was just really getting out of control at that point. Because when we first started, it was awesome. I mean, the community, like we would show up to each other's sales, like, because there wasn't a lot of us on there. And so like everyone would pile into Rage's, room. And then after Rage's room, everyone would pile into Bravo's room or Nerd Pool's or my room or, Eye Candy's room or Eternal Collectibles room. And that's the way it was. And then it eventually where it just got completely flooded, and the consumer, the comic collector, they didn't know where to go. They didn't know what was going on and who to buy from. And so at that time, after the second one, where it was just a complete disaster, I think I ended up like -$5. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. So I walked away, and I haven't been on there since, outside of, just buying. But yeah, that's a legitimate, real concern.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I wondered about that.
No, because like, I mean, so another guy that I like to watch,
Rage doesn't have that problem.
Yeah. Well, like another guy I like who's like he's got a huge following and a huge audience is Bry's Comics. And he does his Whatnot shows. He's like, oh, these are all $1 starts. And I'm like, it could be like Toss 39 and he'll be like $1 start. I'm like, are you ever worried it's going to sell for like $7?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think before, I wonder if he has a list of what he's going to put on. And if he has a big enough room, it'll be X. If the room's smaller, it's Y. And if it's even smaller, it's Z. Yeah. And, so you don't get screwed over on that kind of stuff. So
it was also my fault, though, as a seller, not realizing, like, you know what, I'm not that big yet. I can't list books for $1. Unfortunately, I need to list them for $3. Starting auction $3. You want it? Great. It's $3. You don't? We move on to the next one. So, I see nowadays, a lot of guys, it's not a $1 auction. They're starting at $3, $5, $10 because that's what they at least need to break even. So if they can get that, they get it. If not, then they just move on.
Well, how do you break even at $3 if you're talking about how do you ship the books then?
How do you
break even? I'm just saying, like, okay, so take a number. So you got to ship it. So I know on eBay, I can either add shipping or I can make it free. But I really haven't got the science of the best way to ship. I thought I did. Then I was told over the weekend I was doing it wrong. So I'm asking you, what is the best way to ship these books if you're selling 1 to 10 books?
So the first thing you want to do is go on pirateship.com. That's if you're using like regular USPS or FedEx or whatever, first thing you want to do is find a website like pirateship.com. Pirateship.com will just allow you to buy United States Postal Service for cheaper than what you normally would. If you go to the USPS website, they're going to charge you more than something like Pirate Ship does. Plus, there's also different avenues to go down. And put this out there: we do not, and I will not ship media mail. Okay. So outside of that, there is that avenue. But I think, with the Whatnot, I think that's kind of already built in. It's already built in with the shipping costs. So whatever the buyer is paying, let's say it's one book, and it's been a while since I've bought anything or sold anything. So let's just say they buy one book, it's $10 shipping. Then their next book is now it goes up to $11 shipping. So that's automatically already calculated in. But when it comes to factoring in, the first thing you want to do is get discounted shipping. That really helps. And then you just got to break out
shipping, right?
Yeah. What's that?
eBay has this discounted shipping, right?
eBay does have discounted shipping. However, whenever I'm getting ready to ship, I will always pull up Pirate Ship, because even if it's 25 cents cheaper, I'm going to take that 25 cents cheaper. It's right there. It's all happening, in real time at the same time. So it's not a whole lot of extra work.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people use.
Why won't you do media mail?
It's sketchy. It's not sketchy because I've gotten tons of stuff media mail, and I used to ship media mail. I have major anxiety, and if that book doesn't get to my customer in 3 to 4 days, I'm getting them on the phone and just, are you okay? Did you get your book yet? Where is it? What's going on? So I just want, because I know as a buyer myself, like I expect that book in 4, 5, 6 days, whatever it is. And so media mail just kind of takes my anxiety. I don't have to deal with it. I don't want to be there.
I sold a book to somebody in Alaska, and I shipped it media mail, and it was like a week and a half later. I'm like, where the hell is this book at? It isn't there yet. And I'm like, oh, it's going to Alaska. I'm like, are you? And I emailed these people or messaged them, and I said, hey, the book is here, to be there in a couple of days. That was 3 separate people that were in the country. I messaged and said, hey, your book is going to be there delivered in a couple of days. No one messaged me back like, thanks, or I was worried about that, or cool, nothing. And then the book showed up, and I think I got a positive review, and that was it. But the only one was at Alaska that took forever to get up there. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I dread the day that, hey, I never got my book, or luckily it hasn't happened yet. And I'll share this story. The giveaway, my last giveaway on IG, I sent it first class to Hawaii. It took 4 weeks.
Holy crap!
Oh damn!
And
did they swim it over?
Well, 3 weeks in, I reached out to him. I said, "Did you get your book?" And he goes, "Not yet." And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like freaking out. So yeah, I'll stay away from media mail right now. And who knows?
It is the cheapest option, but I know it has its issues, and I'm trying to find like UPS ground or USPS ground or something that's, especially when we were putting the book on there. If you put $9 or $10 to sell the book, is that going to be enough to cover it, right? Because sometimes the shipping cost can help with your eBay fee too if you do it right?
So that's one of the things about eBay, man. They take commission on everything. They even take the commission on your actual shipping
and your tax.
Oh my goodness gracious!
So I just wish there was better luck with IG, or that'd be the best way to go, or consignment. But it's those guys have no problem paying those guys a fee, but you're if you're the seller, that you have that shipping to worry about, and it's not cheap to ship stuff, especially graded. So you just got to find your groove with the shipping, and something you can rely on that like if you're using Pirate Ship or you're doing eBay, and the right way to you're always going to have one time where it's not going to work out, right? It's hard to be 100% perfect. So that one time could be a nightmare. You're hoping it's just 4 weeks and the book gets there, right? Not never gets there. So, but yeah, no, it's effective. There's reasons you use things, like eBay, because they're effective. You got, like you said, international shipping really opens up your population. That's huge.
Well, I will tell you this, JP. It took a long time. It took a long time to kind of figure the shipping out, especially when I'm shipping directly, not using eBay, and it was just on my own accord, shipping out of Instagram. So, I would just say, obviously, Gemini mailers, and just keep that thing light. Keep it as light as possible, but protected as possible. Again, lucky on me, I've never, ever, ever had a damaged book in transit. So that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep everything I bought. So although I'm out of Gemini mailers now, I've used them all to ship other stuff out. So now I'm done. I have these big boxes now. So I'm like, I just recently sent something media mail, and it was like $365, and I just got hit up for another $1.40 from eBay because I think it was that overweight, at $4 or something. I was like, oops, but it went out there. I'm just getting rid of boxes this way, but you got to be
Got it.
careful.
So Joseph, how do you find the books that you sell? Do you like buy collections? Do you buy just like hunt for one-offs that you got good margin on, as we say, or?
So I've only ever bought one collection. And that collection was had like maybe like 100 and I wouldn't even necessarily call it a collection, about 150 books. I did buy that Marvel Tales run. It was number 1 through number 205. But at the end of the day, a lot of the books they come right out of the personal collection. All my raw books. When I originally started in 2021, we had 8 long boxes, 4 short boxes, and 1 plastic CGC box. Today we're down to 3 long boxes, no short boxes, but 20 plastic CGC boxes. So
Until the signature series, right?
right, exactly. So there's been some fundamental shifts, but I'm hunting constantly. On eBay, late night, buying, flipping, going through the personal collection, and then getting my books also CGC'd, and then also getting them signature seried, and then just going through the process just over and over again. So a lot of the books I source from eBay, from Shortbox, on Instagram, the local comic shop when I get an opportunity to go there. Just like you, Rohan, I got kids. It's all good, my brother. And yeah, that's where I get the vast majority of my books from.
So
and it's all about the hunt.
So do you have a 9-to-5 job?
I do have a 9-to-5 job.
So the shop is basically your way of basically flipping your collection to get that book you want to get signature seried, graded, whatnot. So you're just basically trying to find something to either that you want to get graded and signed, or something you get a good deal on that you can flip to someone like Rohan and then buy that other book that you wanted.
Well, when I'm flipping it to Rohan, I'm giving him the same exact price that I paid.
Right. But I mean, you're just flipping it over.
But yeah,
you're flipping over to go buy
the
something else.
hookup, baby.
Yeah. No, I don't mean like for any different in price. I'm just saying I found this. It was a good deal. So now I can give someone else a good deal, and I can go buy, the Blip number 1 signed by Super Mario. Right.
Yeah. That was the intention.
Signed by
Chris. That is the intention now, but I'll tell you, over the last year or so, the way that I kind of keep scaling this thing up, I want this to be my 9-to-5. This is what I want to do. I am extremely passionate about this. I want to be able to do this. I want to eat, breathe, and sleep comic books. I think every single one of us already do that, and we're just all finding our chance to be able to do it full time, be able to actually physically make a living out of it, and be able to take care of our families. So I think today, in that day and age, I'm going to keep going. We're going to just keep going. We're going to keep moving forward in hopes that I can create a sustainable long-term business, for myself and my family.
That's awesome. I mean, I dream of that too. It's maybe my retirement, early retirement will be selling these books. But and that's the one thing too, is if you're on IG, you're Rage on it, or you're the guys you talked about and whatnot, that can be fun. I go to shows and I see these dealers who, they're going to give you half the value in your book, and their stuff's overpriced, and it's just like, I don't want to be that guy.
I don't want to be that guy either.
I want to be selling stuff like, I don't want to be nitpicking someone's book. I want to be reasonable, and they're all, it's like, well, I have overhead, so I have to give you half the value. Why can't I have overhead too? Right?
Yeah.
I have shipping costs. Why can't I give you half the value for the book on your shelf? Right? So I want it to be the personality of it, like Wolverine's comic shop. Like, there's a personality to that, right? Rage, there's a personality to that. That's why people buy. There's a reason why people buy from Mile High. He overprices books from what I hear, but he has a reputation. That's what gets people to buy there. not Joe Schmo at the comic shop or comic show, right?
Right.
Who's beating you up over the price of your book, and he's got his overpriced. It's just,
it is funny, like you say that, because like when you see the guys on like Instagram live claim sales or any of these, the people have personalities, like you're saying, and then like you'll go to like a con, and half the dealers there are these just like curmudgeony old men, and I'm always like, how did you end up in this field? Like
you seem like you don't like it.
Yeah,
why are you here?
You're not a happy man. Like you're trying to, books are overpriced. Like how do you keep doing this?
I saw the guy. I've seen the same guys at every show lately, and there's this guy that looks like Reggie, a little bit older than Reggie, and he's always wearing a mask. And I'm like, if you're worried about something, just don't come out to the show. There's hundreds of people here.
Yeah.
Why are you at the show? And then I always say, are you looking to trade or buy? And he's like, nope. I'm like, see ya. Walk down to the next guy. If you're not going to trade or buy my books, I'm not buying your stuff. Same deal every show.
Yeah, I haven't. Full transparency, I haven't been to enough shows and interacted with enough of these types of individuals within the industry to really kind of grasp that. I think there's us in this day and age and in our technology and the way we've been brought up, and then that older generation of those comic books, kind of these dealers, so to speak, that you kind of speak of. So I think there'll always be that little difference there. And yeah, to me, I'm not trying to nitpick. These are my books. You want them, great. If you don't, water under the bridge. We'll meet at the ice cream shop or something. Who the hell knows?
Right,
but that's it.
It's a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. It's not.
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
But if you put it into a world where you're going to support the family, then you got to make that margin, right? So there's a little more to it at that point. So I get the angst to those guys, but I don't feel that angst on a what. I haven't been on a whatnot sale, but like a claim sale for Elite. I don't get that. I enjoy watching
it. They're fun to watch. They're very, very. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I just wish there was more trading on that site. That's the difference of why I like to go to a show, because books that I have with margin, I'm okay to give them away at half off because I bought them for such a deal, or I can trade for something else. If I could trade on those Elite Elite claim sales somehow, I know it's like, it's hard to do, but that would be that would make that wholesale thing much more enticing to me, because I'm basically just buying. So my hope is that I sell enough on eBay to buy the book on Elite claim sale, right?
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that misses, because I know if I got that guy in person, we could work a deal out like Rohan does on Facebook, beating people up. Give me that book.
I beat no people up. It's just like you said. It's just,
look at his hands,
charm, baby.
Yeah.
So wait a second, Rohan, you're starting a new business. You're going to start consigning trades on Facebook. 3%.
I think it's
JP's first. I'm second. Okay.
I'm happy to like post books for people, for friends. I have no problem doing that.
You might, after you do it for us, 3%. Everybody is reasonable price.
Maybe we start that. One real quick thing I was going to say that also makes me laugh at the cons with the curmudgeony old men is because you'll have some deal. So everyone it kind of basic setup is like you have a wall book with your big fancy books. And then you have like the boxes with like the cheaper books, right? And some people like set it off where there's like a barrier to their wall. And like a lot of dealers are like, yeah, come on in, get in close, take a look at the books. And then you have the old curmudgeon old men that are like, no, you cannot come back here. You cannot touch these books. I'm just like, who is buying from you? Like, you're awful. Like,
yeah. Well, you got to be personable in these shows.
People skills.
Yeah. It blows me away how many people at the show are just like these, just like I said, old men, grumpy. And it's just like, who is buying from you? Why would anyone buy from you?
Yeah, it's different. I've seen the same dealers at the last couple shows I've been at, and I think I'm showed out for a while. The last one was not my favorite. So I'm going to stick with claim sales on Elite, and hopefully some Facebook stuff works out with Rohan, and check in Short Box for what you got, Joseph. That's where I'll be at the next couple, or Comic Link. Can't forget Comic Link, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I've been visiting that quite a lot lately. Comic Link is pretty cool.
Yeah, we just interviewed Steve Borak last week on it. So
yeah, so
check that out.
Yeah, so there's different avenues to go from. But again, I live in an area that they have areas where they call them food deserts, right, where you can't find grocery stores. I'm in a comic desert where the closest comic shop is like 50 miles away. So claim sales, antique stores, and Comic Link and Short Box are where I get my fix from searching through boxes. So that's That's the only thing that I like the shows for that reason, because it got me more time in front of them, hunting, but not anymore. I'll stop
Yeah, I
for a
mean,
while.
if I was in your area, I would definitely look to obviously get into more shows so I can get a more variety out there. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's just tough to find. So, but yeah, I definitely be more on short box now after seeing what you got on there. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, it is a very. I haven't bought from it, but it is a very easy app to use and navigate, and so yeah, no, I should. If I have books to sell down the line, I should look at getting a short box account.
I want to be on the street team.
Yeah.
Anybody at short box, man? Street team ready. Let's do it.
what's the street team?
I'm not really sure, but I want to be part of it.
I think like you go, because Shortbox sets up at cons, and so I think if you're on the street team, like in Seattle, you would go to Emerald City Comic Con and be there for them. But there's also other things too. Like I don't know exactly what it is either.
Basically, I think it's just being an ambassador of short box, and just being like kind of a focal point, and just kind of marketing them and working with them to kind of help out in any way that you can.
That's awesome. I mean, when you become an influencer, not the type we're thinking about, but just enough that people recognize your face and your name, that's pretty cool in a hobby you love. So definitely, I've seen your videos, and when I know we talk back and forth, but I'm like, we're gonna interview this guy. I've seen him on many YouTube videos, so it's been cool, and on IG. So I think when you got a recognizable name and a thing that you do, your unboxings with the signature series is sets the name for you. So that's awesome.
Thanks, JP. I appreciate that, man. I didn't think anybody actually watched my shit. Thanks, bro.
I guess I need my fix, man. I need my fix. There's many shows I watch on YouTube and IG, and it's like you said, it consumes us now. So I don't, what I do for the last 20 years when I didn't have comics, I don't know.
It's funny, right? Because when you choose your like YouTube feeds to watch, it's like there are some I watch for informational value, and then there are some guys I follow that just like that all they do is unboxings, and it's like I like it. Like it's just fun to see people show off what they have. I just like looking at them.
I enjoyed Lunch Money doing all the antique stores, because that's what I found. I had antique stores around me.
Exactly.
That's where I would go.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's
content.
I appreciate it.
Everything is content. Just shoot it all. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, short videos, long videos, whatever. But like we told you, probably an hour video, right? Now we're an hour and a half.
All our interviews always end up at an hour and a half. So
I love this. I mean, I could do this all day. I could do this all day. This has been phenomenal. So much fun hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, definitely. I learned a lot. These are, more for, I guess it becomes more knowledge I gain from these, but I definitely, get the fix to have the conversation. And so, yeah, no, I'm glad we can do this weekly. I'm glad Rohan's out there charming everybody up to get him on the show, offering him free books on Facebook. Maybe I don't know what he's doing, but
he certainly is. I mean, look, I think feel like I'm sandwiched between some heavy hitters too. I mean, you guys just had the One True Nerd King. You just had the Common Links. Obviously, Rage Theo in a couple of weeks or whenever that comes. So I'm just honored to be here, and I'll tell you, man, hard work pays off. There's words I live by. I've told Rohan, I say it once, I'll say it again. Passion breeds success. You're passionate about what you do and you put in the work, you will be successful. It's really that simple. That's it.
Yep, that's an awesome quote. That's very true.
Yeah.
Put the time in. If you like it, people can tell. It exudes your enjoyment from what you do. Again, the curmudgeons at the show, you're like, but you get someone like you guys on Whatnot, you're like, oh, this is awesome to watch. A nice elite claim sale. Oh, it's awesome to watch,
Hell yeah. I mean, look, all of our lives are stressed as it is, right? Between kids, family, work, and I mean, shit, just the United States in general, right? The world in general. So
to just have be our escape.
And that's one of the reasons why I started the YouTube channel, man. I just wanted a place where people can go watch some epic nostalgia-filled unboxings, kick open a soda, a beer, a juice, whatever your preference is. Sit back and just enjoy some shit from the 90s and the 2000s, man. That's it.
Yep. The best decades, I have to say. 80s, I got to throw in there too, because I love the
80s, of course.
The 90s were, it's funny going back to these, these comics and just remembering that time. So, yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on, Rohan. I mean, any other last thoughts?
No, that's all I got. Yes, thanks for coming on, guys. If you don't follow Joseph, Wolverine's Comic Shop on IG, he sells on, like I said, Shortbox, eBay. Look him up, hit him up, and just a great guy to talk to, as we've proved here. So thanks for coming on. For everyone out there, right? Like, comment, subscribe, the usual things we say. Thanks for checking us out.
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming on, Joseph. Thanks for being on. Learned a lot today. Appreciate the time, and I'll be checking you out on Shortbox.
Thank you both very much. At the end of the day, I just want to say this. I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Without you, without all of you, there is no Wolverine's Comic Shop. So thank you all so very much for having me, and thank you for being part of this journey with me.
Yeah,
definitely.
Love it.
All right, guys. We'll see you in the next show. Peace out.
Take care. Peace.